Hello. I'd like to give you a short demo of the Landis Technologies Office 365 Contact Center for Microsoft Teams. The Office 365 Contact Center works for Teams and Skype for Business, but in this demo, we're especially going to focus on the functionality available, the native Microsoft Teams functionality. There's a couple core design principles that we have for Office 365 Contact Center. Number one, that it's really simple and fast to set up and get going. Really, in minutes, you can get going. It's a SaaS application that you can sign up for and get going. Number two, we want it to be really familiar and have a Teams interface, whether you're working on the administrative side or on the user agent side, the PC agent side. It looks and feels just like Microsoft Teams. We want to provide all the real-time analytics, wallboards, and reporting that you need, and we want to keep it open using things like Microsoft Flow and Power BI. And we want this to be a trusted Teams UC solution. What does the Office 365 Contact Center add to the core Teams calling functionality? So Teams calling brings DIDs, auto attendance, and basic call queues. And what we bring to both Skype for Business Online and Microsoft Teams is a set of features. Live wallboards, a manager live view of agent calls and queue calls in the queue, reporting, all the reporting call details are secure so that only those who have the scope can see the calls that they're responsible for. Wrap-up tracking is built in, Dynamics 365 integration, so you can see on call pop, but you can also edit records right inside the agent, the O365 Contact Center agent, call recording, barge in, and sentiment. So we're really trying to bring those most requested features and make them available right away. And in the case of Teams calling, we have Office 365 Contact Center has advanced call queues for Microsoft Teams. And this is Landis Technologies written call queues. It is as opposed to the basic built-in call queues. And what do we add immediately? So, well, we have live in-queue statistics. Unlike the built-in call queues, we have live in-queue call statistics, callers in the queue, longest waiting, wait times, people in the queue, and then, of course, because we can see into the queue, we can also give you abandoned calls and bring things like call recording and barge in to that experience as well. What we are bringing is the most requested functionality right now and as soon as we can, as soon as the APIs are available, and we will have a lot more to come, but we wanted to get started and bring some value to you as soon as possible. First of all, we want to look at the agent experience. What is the Teams PC agent? Well, this is designed for the agents to be native Teams clients. So they will answer the call at this time using the Teams call toast. And then there will also be an agent that allows them to see the call pop from Microsoft Dynamics and later on other products. It also is the place that you will be shown the wrap-up questions that are assigned, if there is wrap-up questions assigned to a queue. And then moving to the manager experience in Office 365 Contact Center. All right, so now we'll demonstrate insight into a queue. And this is the Landis Technologies advanced call queues and using the Microsoft calling API. So we will we'll consider the Teams client on the left here, the caller, and on the right, the manager screen. I know it's on one screen, but just think of it that way to get a feel for it. So we're calling in, and we're calling the queue, and you'll notice in real time, there's somebody in the queue, and I'm getting a message, getting the welcome message, and now music on hold. And I'm going to just hang up. And you'll notice immediately, as soon as I hung up, the call went out of the queue. It jumped over here to the calls for the day, and also the average handle time. So there you could see insight, just an overview using the wall boards to get insight into a Office 365 Contact Center call queue, advanced call queue. All right, now we'll take a look at the Manager Live Calls view. So here, there's no calls for this manager at the moment, so we'll just bring one in here and call it. And now the call's in the queue. I'm hearing the prompt or the welcome message and music on hold. And you can see the queue is over here. And now it's starting to invite agents. So you really have an overview. And this would be also, you can drill in to get more information about this call. And then once again, we can hang up. And that call will go out. And if there was more than one call or more than one call that this manager was taking care of, those calls would just stack up in there. And this view, like most of the other reports, you can decide what columns you want to show, and you can filter it as well. So a live, dynamic live view where you can get an overview of calls, and then you can also, if you need to, this is where you could barge into the call and take a look at it. Another thing that we can see in here is abandoned calls. So I've been making a couple calls here, and so we can see, and of course I've been using one user. Once again, just like all the other reports, you can filter, export to Excel, and check the columns. But yeah, you can see, unlike the built-in basic Microsoft call queues, we get abandoned call reporting. And also other call details so that you can see the calls by journey and see what happened with the calls. So some other reports that are available for the manager is the overview of activity. You can see the overview of activity. Also, if a call has the policy that you can barge in, you'll notice over here on the right, you have a button to barge into that call. And another item, once again, if the policy is turned on, you can see real-time sentiment on a call as the call progresses. And another report is the agent summary, just to get a summary of what's happening with your agents. Wrap-up answers report, call detail reports, and also listening to the recording right here in the call details report. And of course, the sentiment and the recording is entirely policy-based, so you can give as much insight user-based. Maybe you don't want them to be able to see the text of the sentiment. Or you might not want them to be able to hear recordings. Depends who they are, and that can be easily controlled centrally. And one last report is the queue calls by hour. So those are a basic set of reports, and we will continue to add as we see the need. The next perspective that we'll take a look at is from the administrator's perspective. And a couple of the tasks that you'll do there. And one thing you'll notice here, it looks just like Office 365. If you're used to administrating that, it should look very familiar. And creating a team is very straightforward. Just come in here, click Create a New Team. And I'll just open an existing one so we can take a look at some of the settings. And maybe I'll just open this up a little more. And this is a Microsoft Teams native call queue, the advanced call queues that we have written using the calling APIs. You give it a name, give it an address so you can call it. Wrap up, you can assign wrap-up questions to this queue. Some things like timeout, how long it goes till it times out, what user or what agents, what Teams users you want to be as agents, welcome message, music on hold, and other settings like that. And you click Save. And what this will do is this will configure this in Office 365 Contact Center. It will also create the components in your Microsoft Teams or Office 365 tenant so that calls will not need to, the audio will not need to leave your tenant for the Office 365 Contact Center to work correctly. At this time, there is a small amount of administrative work after you add a queue that the administrator does need to do in your Office 365/Microsoft Teams tenant to get this going. After that's done, you can call in and start calling into queues. So really trying to make it as easy as possible. Of course, there's quite a few things, wrap-up config that you can configure, but let's take a look at a wallboard. Once again, very straightforward. Just give it a name, select which queues you would like to show on this wallboard, what organizational unit you want it to be in, who can see it, and if you want to brand it with some image, and then you have a wallboard as we were showing before. So the administrator experience, we'd really like it to be cohesive with Office 365, and that's something we've done. So thank you for letting us show you quickly the Office or Microsoft Teams Contact Center features that we have ready as soon as the Microsoft Teams calling APIs are released to general availability by Microsoft. Thank you.